Hello, so glad to have you here today. We are going to cover the first in a series called Supercharge Your Immune System, and today we're focusing on gut health with Rachel Vineyard. She has been an amazing, wonderful influence in my life recently, in my health journey, and that's why I wanted to bring her on here because she is an expert in all things gut health. You will see that if you just look at her profile just a little bit. She has so much educational material and just equipping us to understand how to empower our health. So as soon as she joins in here, then I will add her to the group. But we're going to cover some interesting things today because we say like gut health or digestive health as we're looking in the coordination with our immune system, because too often we've looked at the body as different parts, as if it's just a car. And hey, Rachel, so I'll bring you in just a second. And that is not how it works. Here, I'll bring you in right here. Yay. Okay, hi.
Thank you.
Good, how are you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And I was just going on my little soapbox of how a body's not like a car. We can't like divide the fuel system from the braking system and tweak one thing and get a long-term result. It's so integrated, right? Emotions, mental, physical, it's all part of the integration of our human body. So that's why, as you know, and everybody in my audience knows, I love the energetics. I love to release the energies that are in the way, but we cannot keep putting certain foods in. We can't do certain physical habits and expect the same results or expect new results, even if you've done all the energy work in the world, but you're eating toxic chemicals, then we can't expect those different results. So I'm excited to have you here today.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to chat all about it. And like you said, we have to focus on the physical body too. Like it's this whole integrative system. So I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm passionate about energy healing too. It's definitely necessary, but the physical body needs some attention too.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And that's why I'm so glad to have you speaking on that. And then specifically the gut and digestive health today. So I've got a few questions for you. And then if anybody has questions as we go, you can put that in the chat. We'll come back to those later. But I'm going to start with the basic. This is where I was, because I had never worked with a naturopath, which is what you are. And I didn't even understand what that is. So if you could just help define that as we get started here.
Yeah, of course. So I'm what is known as a traditional naturopath. So you will find some practitioners known as a naturopathic doctor. I chose not to go that route because with that word doctor gets in there, it gets a little messy with legalities and different states. So I took a path to become a traditional naturopath. And basically what that means is I combine Western or modern medicine with ancient wisdom. And so, I do functional lab testing. I do some more of these integrative, more modern approaches. But really, I always come back to, the ancient wisdom of connecting back to earth where we're meant to live. So I use all natural remedies. I use herbs, botanicals, things that are from the earth, so like carbon binders or really big focus on eating living foods, like how to really nourish our bodies from foods of the earth. I also do some, as a naturopath, I do integrative approaches. So like ozone therapy or coffee enemas, which I know we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Diving into, these different treatment options that conventional medicine wouldn't offer you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's where I was when we connected. I'm like, I know I need more health support, but I really value the most natural, long-term, sustainable route. And that's where you also called me out in some of the things you were saying online, because I was hacking at my gut health journey. I'm like, oh, everybody's doing this, I'll try that. And then over here, we'll do this, we'll do the charcoal thing. And there's all these little fads that we see. Someone, oh, they're trying that, maybe I should try it. And you're like, y'all, you're making a mess. Like, gently, you're just like, you may be stirring it up, but you're not taking it out. So we'll get into that. So basically, and I'm just going to back it up even a little more, because this is our foundation for a series on the immune system.
First.
What's so important about the immune system? Why should we even be focused on that?
Well, the immune system is basically your body's self-defense. So let's say you get on your finger and it was outside. So maybe you were exposed to some sort of bacteria or something that isn't good for the body in the sense of the word. So your immune system has been activated, and there's white blood cells, there are red cells, obviously, but the white blood cells are really what come into the picture, and they identify the bad guy, per se. Let's say that was that nasty bacteria on your cut, and it's going to send a message to the body that says, hey, friends, if you see this, we're going to attack it and we're going to kill it. So that's what the immune system basically does in terms. But another part with the immune system is it causes inflammation, which we all hear inflammation as a bad thing, but it's not. Like, that's our body's way of keeping us safe. So that cut on our finger, it's going to kind of swell up. There's going to be a scab. It's going to get red, but that's actually a good thing. That's our immune system bringing the inflammation, the cells, excess blood to provoke healing. And so inflammation and the immune system go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. And I hear all the time people are just like, I'm always feeling bloated. So is that where inflammation gets chronic?
Mm-hmm. So when inflammation gets chronic is when it almost gets stuck. So, little bits of inflammation here and there, like that cut on the finger, or you twisted your ankle and it starts to swell. Those are good forms of it. However, when it becomes systemic and your body is always on this alert, and then it starts attacking your thyroid cells because it's like, oh, like this looks a little questionable, or your gut, oh, these looks a little questionable, that's when the systemic inflammation causes problems. And bloating, yes, is a side effect of that, as are autoimmune conditions and even severe diagnoses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So so bringing it back to that foundation, we got to keep this immune system strong. And I had no idea what a key role our digestive tract falls into that, the health of our gut. Could you talk to that? Why does it matter about our gut, and how does that affect our overall immune system?
So 85% of your immune system is actually found in your gut. So that's where your white blood cells are being made. That's where most of the action takes place. And so because of that, think about it. The things that are entering your body the most are in the form of your mouth, and they go through your digestive tract. That's where you're exposed, in general, to the most amount of toxins, per se, from our food, from our air, obviously goes to your lungs, but it's still a byproduct in your body. And so when we're being exposed to all of these toxins, it's really beautiful how we've been designed for our gut to be the home of our white blood cells in order to take care of it, and they can, keep inflammation at bay, they can keep bacteria or other infections at bay. But the flip side is also true. When our gut is unhealthy, our immune system is unhealthy. And that's where that systemic inflammation can be really cause problems. So for instance, let's say, you have some inflammation going on, the gut is unhealthy, you start eating gluten, and you notice an intolerance to gluten. What has happened is that molecule, so that compound protein that gluten is, it has been basically flagged by your immune system. So every time it sees it, it thinks it's a danger, so it's going to cause that inflammatory response. So that's your immune system kicking in. But what we know about gluten is it does do damage to the gut. So it's really this vicious cycle. So long story short, to answer your question, in order to have a healthy immune system, you first have to have a healthy gut.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's what I've found in working with you, because changing my life. I heard about all the things like different. I was doing certain cleanses, a liver or a gallbladder cleanse occasionally, but I had not wanted to do like the full thing. And because I don't know, I heard different rumors of what that could look like, and let's just cover a little bit about even like what I'm doing right now, because I'm still, friends ask me all the time, like, so what cleanse are you doing? As if it's like the newest cool thing. And I'm like, this is cleaning out all of the house, every corner, versus just, so often we're like, oh, I rearranged some furniture and look, I'm doing something healthy when we just rearranged it, right? So what's the difference between like these quickie like cleanses and then something like what I'm doing right now?
To be completely honest, those quickie cleanses are a waste of your money because one, they're probably not really doing what you're paying for it to do, because based off what I understand how the body works, you can't just target one part of your body to cleanse. Like, that's just not how it works. Another thing is, they're not taking bio-individuality into mind. Like, you, Juliana, are your own beautiful being. No one else is like you. So my job as your practitioner is to identify you and then create the protocols that you need based on how your body is going to respond. So your protocol is totally different than mine was, and is totally different than other clients, because this cleanse per se is a matter of rebalancing your body in total and not just focusing on like your 21 days or whatever it may be. So other areas of difference isn't like you're not just taking some pills and hoping for the best, or you're not just doing a juice cleanse, or these things that have really good intentions but they're not effective. And the reason, honestly, they can cause more problems.
Yeah.
A great analogy I like to give is, if you have a snow globe, right? All the pretty snow is on the bottom, and you shake it up, all that snow is now going to be everywhere, right? The same thing is true with your body. These toxins are actually stored in our liver and our fat cells, and that's where they're safe. They can't be around our body, so that's where they're held for safety reasons. However, we do these quick cleanses, like your 21-day liver cleanse or your juice or whatever, and that's releasing the toxins from your liver or from fat cells, but then they're just floating around. It's like you've just shaken up the snow globe, and now these toxins are everywhere instead of just being safe in the fat or the liver. And so when people don't have a clean gut, those toxins can't be excreted, so they're reabsorbed into the body and they cause more issues because now they're just floating around. So that's the difference in between doing something you can kind of purchase like as a kit, and doing a deep dive into your bio-individuality, healing first, and then working on opening your detoxification pathways, because like I said, yours are different than mine.
Yeah, and that was news to me, just like you're saying. I didn't understand, and as diverse, and I loved how we started with my history. You're like, let's go through every detail, comb through it, see exactly where you were. I loved even just the accountability to be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, or this is it, or yay, I'm doing this. It was just it was the deepest like check-in I've had as an adult with my health. Like, is just going through all that and then seeing and hearing from you what's moving me towards optimal health, and then you keep that up and you're contributing to this. So it is. And just like you said, we love these things. Juice cleanse, okay, look, I'm investing in my health. Oh, I'm spending money on my yummy juices. And if we can't absorb it, if there are walls of toxins all through, then how can we absorb it? So this is, as I'm watching and experiencing the release of all the toxins, it's so liberating. And I love what you just said about I hadn't realized this, but with the fat cells will hang on to those toxins. I'm watching that like little muffin top thing is disappearing. And my stomach has gone down big time because of what we've been doing. And then I think it has a lot to do with parasites, which we don't want to talk about this because parasites are gross. Nobody wants to talk about that. But if you have big old critters living in our guts, what you want to know and what you want to get rid of it is where I'm at now. Like, that's why I'm almost too many of my conversations are about parasites right now, because it's like another elephant in the room of our body, but we don't want to look at that because that's disgusting.
Right.
But it is key. So what do you see as the major issues with gut health? Is it like, I mean, I know parasites are one. What other things inhibit?
Primarily, we have to heal the gut lining. So your intestinal membrane, it's permeable. So it has basically little holes, and those little tiny holes are what allow nutrients to come in. So you're breaking down food, you're going to absorb that vitamin C or whatever it is through that gut lining. But the problem is our gut linings have become really gated. We get these holes, and then particles of food, too big of particles of food like gluten or dairy, or it's almost like these spores or this waste you can think of bacteria. They end up getting into our bloodstream, and that is another alarm for that inflammation to be triggered. So then gluten is in your bloodstream, those white blood cells see it, that's when you're going to become intolerant to gluten or dairy or whatever. So really that comes down to that gut lining has to be repaired. So that's pretty much step number one with any client I work with, is we have to heal the gut lining.
Mm-hmm.
Well, really in symbiosis with that, we have to kill off the candida, which is a yeast, or it's called small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So any bad bacteria that is not supposed to be there, and then the parasites. And the reason we have to target those three things in addition to healing the gut lining is the candida, parasites, and SIBO, all three of those also destroy the gut lining. So they'll pass in between that membrane and make the holes bigger. So when it comes to gut health, parasites are a huge thing to focus on. And honestly, a lot of people miss it because parasite tests, they're very inaccurate. So people do them and then they're like, oh, no, you don't have any. And in fact, like, they work with me and they're pooping worms out. So it's like, just because the parasite test comes back negative does not mean that you don't have them. So it's definitely a piece of it with the SIBO, candida, and then just the gut lining for sure.
Yeah, and I need to hear this like multiple times about the gut, understanding that gut lining, because when you understand the physiology of what's happening, then you can take all the delicious supplements, the high vibe supplements, you can spend thousands on this, but if it's not absorbed by your body, if you have a military like bunker built up in the gut, there's no way it's ineffective. It's just generally ineffective, right?
Yeah, and you can eat all the best foods. Sorry, it's storming here. But, you can eat all the most nutrient-dense foods and all, live perfectly wellnessy, however you want to describe that. But yeah, you could still be nutritionally depleted because, like you said, your body's not able to absorb those minerals. Or you have so much gunk built up like on your intestinal wall, preventing like any absorption at all. So yeah, I mean, you can buy all the supplements, eat all the best food, but unless you heal your gut lining and like remove the pathogens, it's kind of a waste.
Yeah. And that's what I'm experiencing. Like, I've been eating healthy, but now I can feel the difference over time where my body's responding to the healthy nutrients I'm giving it. And I do, and you helped me get on a pretty strict, but yet it's a strict diet, but I'm finding I'm actually really enjoying all the foods I'm eating, and And then the feeling of satisfaction is huge. Just knowing I'm loving myself. Really, I feel like I'm loving my physical body. We talk about all this self-love and da-da-da. This type is a whole nother level where we're like, I'm ready to take accountability for all the system, right? And then it just feels like so much love every time I'm making super nutrient-rich food. Gosh, I had another question tucked in there, but anyway, it does lead me to parasites because that's been a shocker. And I knew I had some parasites. I mean, I traveled all over the world. I came back to the States, saw a different natural doctor. We did a little parasite cleanse, I think that was years ago. And then, you just keep trucking through life. Like, I don't want to think about parasites, right? And then we're just the natural overflow of all the healthy things I'm doing right now is getting rid of these parasites, which has been shocking. Y'all don't even want to know what's coming out in my poop. I know, we're not supposed to talk about this. Nobody talks about this. But, and if you guys later are like, I want to see, I will just send it to you directly. But it's fat. I loved like dissection. I want to know if in this case, I'm pretty sure I had or have had this really long worm of some kind. I know it's gross, guys, but it's better out than in, better out. So here's what my question comes to is, now I'm learning there's an optimal environment for parasites. We can create a place that's like Disneyland for parasites. They're just like, yay, I will stay here forever and I'll keep growing and hatching babies and so on. Ooh. Or we can create the ideal environment where they have to go. So what's the ideal environment if you want to roll out the red carpet for these things?
That's a great question. I love the way that you made that a point of it's like Disneyland for parasites. And unfortunately, our Western civilized lifestyle is the perfect place for parasites. So, a lot of times people will think about parasites of being like, oh, you have to travel to a third world country, or you have to drink dirty water, or, I don't know, eat dirt. But that's really not true. Because we're always going to be exposed to parasites. They're just a part of our microbiome. But it's when that level gets to the point where they're overbearing and our gut bacteria can't keep it down, that's when parasites really explode. And we live in a culture where our gut bacteria is getting blow after blow after blow from glyphosate, which is on non-organic foods, from the heavy use of antibiotics, from got a runny nose or some other small infection or acne, they're going to put you on an antibiotic when that's not fixing the problem. But that does destroy your gut bacteria. So that's number one. We eat these non-organic foods and we're getting doses of antibiotics every time we eat them.
So what would be an ideal diet if you wanted to create, or even you could name some brands of where I could eat if I wanted to keep parasites thriving in my body?
Sounds good. So the thing with parasites is they love an acidic environment. So your digestive system has a pH. So your skin has a pH. You can measure pH of pretty much anything, but your digestive system also has one. So they love acidic environments. Foods that are really acidic are those processed foods that are stripped of any alkalinity, so stripped of any nutrients. So if you want to eat, I don't know, some Kellogg's Corn Flakes for breakfast, or run by McDonald's, or even Subway, or these healthier breakfast options. You want to eat some granola bars, things that are really processed and are high in sugar. They're going to feed the parasites. They're also going to shift the pH to make it acidic, so that way they can really thrive. So that's one thing. I hate to say it, but a lot animal products are really acidic. I'm not saying animal products are bad for everyone. I don't believe that. However, they are acidic in nature. So when we eat them, they're going to change the pH in our digestive tract, which makes it more comfortable for the parasites to survive. Other things that really help parasites grow are eating non-organic foods. And I'm even talking about like produce. They're going to be, we don't really have a lot of parasites on our produce anymore because they're such a clean process that totally strips the produce of any good bacteria too. But we eat, let's say, a conventional berry, those berries are really sprayed with glyphosate, which is that basically antibiotic for the earth. We're getting that dose, it's wiping out our bacteria. That's going to allow those parasites to thrive. Other things that really help parasites live are imbalanced circadian rhythm and cortisol spikes. Things that spike our cortisol in our daily life are blue light. So all being on your phone or having lights at night. Other things are sitting. So let's say you're really inactive. Your movement is going to cause respiration to happen. That's that surge of oxygen through the body, and that is going to balance the pH in your gut to make it more alkaline. But if you're super sedentary, your pH is going to lower to become acidic, so that's going to allow those parasites to survive. So if you want parasites, eat McDonald's or processed foods in general, eat lots of meat like bacon, and sit a lot, and then be on your phone a lot. That's a great way to have parasites.
And only fake lighting, right? Like, not sunlight. Wow.
Yeah, definitely not sunlight. Like, sunlight's actually the opposite. It'll produce the opposite effect of what you want. It'll help your body get balanced and balance your circadian rhythm.
Cool. Awesome. So lack of sleep as well, not staying stressed, that keeps your cortisol high. Yeah, there you go. There's the recipe. If we want to keep the parasites, keep doing those things.
Exactly.
If we wanted to evict the parasites, if we want to kick them out, what's an optimal environment? And yeah, it's funny because I always think like, break it down, like I need to know what would I eat throughout the day? What would, a day in the life of someone that is keeping an environment where literally, even if you consume something that has a parasite, it won't have anything to go play with.
Bottom line is alkalinity. So you want your gut to be more alkaline in nature because parasites, cancer, candida, none of those things can live and survive in an alkaline environment. So alkaline-rich foods are foods that come from the earth. So for breakfast, I'll tell you like what I eat every day to like keep parasites at bay. So I start my day with a smoothie. It has some wild blueberries. It has greens in it. It has a plant-based protein powder that's totally clear of heavy metals because parasites love heavy metals. I'll have some pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds, and that's just my light breakfast. For lunch, I have lots of vegetables, normally just sauteed or baked. I'll do like half raw, half cooked because my digestion really likes cooked veggies, but I love all the natural enzymes in raw veggies. And my gut's healed, so I can deal with that. But I also have a protein with that. So I'll do tempeh or lentils or some sort of bean. I also have, some other protein powders. So if I'm feeling like I need a little bit of extra protein that day, I may have some of that as a snack. For dinner, it's really similar to lunch. I may have pasta in the form of lentils, or I may, with lots of veggies and maybe a fun sauce. But I eat plant-based because that's what works with my body. But good, snacks would be nuts and seeds and fruits and vegetables and hummus, things that are alkaline in nature, so come from a plant. And I will say my diet is totally organic because I believe in the power of organic foods. And I also, my body's pretty sensitive, so I have to be really cautious with glyphosate. So, for food, that's what that would look like. Other ways to keep parasites away is I have blue light blockers. So I wear blue light blocking glasses throughout the day, especially at night. I am very cautious with EMFs, so I turn my phone on airplane mode as much as possible. I Wi-Fi router off at night. I'm just very cautious of EMFs. Those are biochemical toxins, which parasites feast off of too. I'm also cautious of, you want to be cautious of things getting toxins in your body in other ways, so like aluminum foil, or, that's allowing that aluminum to seep into your body, which parasites grab onto and like use them as a shield.
Really? I didn't know about aluminum foil.
So yeah, aluminum cans, it's that aluminum seeps into your body, which it's a heavy metal, and it's been proven that parasites will literally use heavy metals as like a force field. So then your white blood cells don't see them, and so then they just happily reproduce and expand in your body because of these heavy metals. So that's why, I should have said earlier, heavy metal detoxification is just as important for gut health and removing parasites, as anything else.
Yeah, to get down their shields, take it apart. I remember that when you were teaching me at the beginning, like they literally, like you're saying, the white blood cells can't deal with them.
Right.
Take down their little shields. And I'm not one to, drink out of a lot of aluminum cans, but those that are have got to have, like, let's say you're drinking that every day out of an aluminum can. There's no reason why your parasites are not like freaking locked up and have this permanent residence.
Exactly. Alcohol is another big one. So if you want to, feed some parasites, drink lots of alcohol.
Forgot about, yes, we needed to touch on that too. And we haven't even like covered sugar. Like,
that's a whole conversation of itself.
I know. We've got our next one. We've got to cover gluten, dairy, sugar,
oils,
and metal toxicity. Because I don't want to demonize these things, but we do just need to educate.
Exactly.
But if you want to touch on sugars, because you don't eat sugar. We're talking about optimal environment, right? You're not eating sugars today.
Right. The sugars that I get in my diet come from plants. So, I also don't eat a ton of fruit because I eat it in season. And so I love fruit. It's amazing. It's nutrient dense. I eat fruit in season. And so the sugar the sugar amount is going to be lower because it's in season, because it's not being genetically modified to grow in the middle of winter. However, fructose is metabolized totally different than glucose. So like that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I get sugar from vegetables, dates, and fruits. And dates are obviously a fruit. Sometimes I'll use some like local honey if I'm needing that support, or manuka honey. But really to sweeten anything, I use pure monk fruit. So not like Canto that's separated with erythritol. I use pure monk fruit or stevia. But I don't crave that sweet taste because my body it's adjusted. And so, sugar breaks down and it really allows that candida or the parasites or even the bacteria to feast. They just love that stuff. And then they grow and they multiply, and then it becomes even more imbalanced. So sugar really is something to watch. And I'm not even just talking about like, the white sugar you put in cake. We also have to talk about the things that break down into sugar. So that's breads, that's, pastas that are made of bleached flours. We're talking about, some grains like really break down into sugar really quickly. So it's just a matter of knowing what those are and then creating healthy swaps. So I enjoy pasta. It's just made out of lentils. They taste the same, it acts the same, but it's just made of something so nutrient dense. It's actually feeding my good bacteria instead of the bad guys.
Yeah, and I'll confess, that is the one where I'm not quite there because my Italian heritage is like, that is not quite our pasta, but I am with you. I have made that switch just because I love this body. And if I were getting pasta from Italy, if I were getting healthy sourced grains, then it's a different animal, right?
Ball game.
Yeah. So it's a process to learn these things, and this is what we're talking here is we have to start with even understanding what
Exactly.
this is about before we can make any changes. And as we're discussing all these things, I'm realizing you can't make these changes overnight. It's not like I was eating all this certain diet and then I'm eating this diet overnight. And that's awesome if you do, it's a miracle. But like when we first connected, I already had been like, I had only let sugary things in my house. Like it's not good. I'm not even going to buy it. The way to, somebody I saw in a health group the other day is like, how do I get off of diet soda? And my first response was stop buying it. Like, you made a conscious decision to buy this. We have to stop making that choice. And as you're talking, I'm realizing this isn't just like optimal environment for parasites and optimal for kicking them out. It's also this could also be said of cancer, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there are differences. Like I won't pretend to be an expert on cancer. I do a lot of research because I've had a lot of people in my life affected by cancer, but it's very similar. You know, cancers also thrive in an alkaline environment, within an acidic environment. So if you want to kick out cancer, you've got to make your body alkaline. Yeah. That's through hydration, that's through ozone therapy, that's through, nourishment, these plant-based foods that are full of amazing nutrients. It's just going to kick them out. So yeah, a lot of the same protocols and the same processes can actually be used for both. So good news, if you're removing parasites and really focusing on that, there's a good chance that you're actually removing any cancerous cells in your body, because cancer is natural in all of our bodies. It's just it gets, it starts running the show. That's when it's a problem. So, if you're supporting your body with these detoxification methods and really nourishing your cells, cancer doesn't have a place to grow.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I love that the truth is we're hitting many things at once. We're not just parasites.
Exactly.
It's an optimal environment for life or headed towards literal death, like shutting systems down, creating these barriers, and then surprise when we can't get rid of certain things. And that's where, like in the energy work, I can do all the energetics all day long. And if someone is stuffing their face with literal toxins and they still are sluggish and so on, I can't energy change because they consumed it into a magical positive substance to go into their body. So let's talk about some easy ways and even inexpensive ways. And one of those we can cover a little bit is coffee enemas. But what are some ways that you see that it would be a way to keep that system running like optimally?
First and foremost, you got to remove the stuff. So let's pretend like you've already healed your gut, you've already removed parasites, candida, yeast, whatever. Next is to focus on removal of heavy metals, which is what you and I have been doing. And that takes a very particular practice for your individuality. So definitely don't try that on your own.
Yeah.
Let's say those are good. Next, some really simple and pretty cheap ways to keep your body nice and cleansed is castor oil packs. Mm-hmm. That's basically you have a cloth of pure castor oil and you put that on your liver or wherever you're supposed to, pull toxins from. And that is going to allow the blood to rush there. And castor oil also stimulates different processes in your body to dump those toxins. So if your gut is healed, those toxins can then go into your intestines and then be pooped out, basically. So castor oil dry brushing is really great. It's so simple. You can get a dry brush on Amazon for like $8. And you brush your lymphatic system. So so you always go to your heart. So up your legs, down your arms, and to your heart. Mm-hmm. I do that every time before I shower, and it's amazing at supporting your lymphatic system.
Other way soothing. It's like,
it feels so good.
It's like a little massage or a spa treatment.
Yes. Some other ways are oil pulling or tongue scraping. Those are some Ayurvedic techniques. Tongue scraping is you literally just have this little tool and you scrape your tongue in the morning and it pulls out that ama, so basically a buildup of toxins on your tongue. Oil pulling does the same thing in your mouth. You're basically just swishing oil, coconut oil in your mouth, and that's going to pull those toxins from all of these. You have a lot of lymphatic glands, your tonsils, all of these places in your mouth. So it's going to pull those out as well. My favorite, though, is the coffee enema. Enema, and they're like, I'm out. Like, nope. However, it's not as messy or uncomfortable as you would seem. The magic with coffee enemas is coffee has this, green coffee, I should say, has this acid in it that allows the liver to dump toxins. So you use a mycotoxin, so mold-free coffee that's organic, and the lighter it is, the better. So you and I actually use something called a green coffee, which is basically it's barely roasted, so it's really pure. And it has palmitic acid in it, really high levels. And the palmitic acid in the coffee, when it's inserted into your rectum, then travels up your hemorrhoidal vein, which connects to your liver. That palmitic acid then signals your liver, hey, dump your toxins, and it does. And all of those toxins go into your intestines, and obviously when you do an enema, you gotta poop. So then you poop out all those toxins and bingo. But what's so cool about it is all of your blood in your body is filtered through your liver every 3 minutes. So if you hold that coffee enema for 12 minutes, which really it's not that hard, but if you hold it for 12 minutes, you're filtering your blood 4 times over. So all of those toxins that are also stuck in your blood, that's going through your brain, your lungs, everything, is then releasing those toxins into your liver, which is then being signaled to push them out into your intestines, so that way you get it out. So coffee enemas are amazing. The research behind them is incredible, and clients on protocols, I'll have them do them multiple times a week, and then upkeep is once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, but they're amazing, amazing tools.
That's awesome. I love how you break it down, because I needed to hear that, because really it's get away from the coffee enema thing, think toxin dump unlike anything else you can access. And with that specific coffee, like you're saying, palmitic acid.
Yep. So definitely don't just use like your Starbucks, like Vernon blend or whatever. Like that's going to give you toxins.
Yeah.
But there are a few companies that create coffee specifically for enemas. And so if anybody has a question about that, you can reach out to me, or Julie has a good one. So yeah, just let us know if you have a question about that.
And I'll put that in the comment, the specific coffee that is used. And of course, if anybody's got like any questions, they can reach out to you or I. I mean,
disclaimer is definitely don't do a coffee enema though if you haven't healed your gut, because like we talked about in the beginning, dump those toxins into your intestines. Let's say you have these big holes in your intestinal membrane, your body's going to reabsorb them. So first we have to heal the gut and then release the toxins through the liver and the intestines.
And that's where I was. Like there's an awesome influencer that is like, and there's a number of them in the health arena that are just like, yeah, I did my coffee enema today, and I'm like, eventually I'm like, okay, I'll try this. Mm-hmm. But then I think you said something like, you're just making a mess. Let's heal the gut lining, right? And then it can fully be released. So that's it sounds like that's the foundation for any of this stuff. I need to hear that again, because this has been a common conversation. My friends are like, oh, cool. That scares me, but I want to try it. And I need to, again, lay that foundation for them that you've got to, okay, yeah, you could stir all this stuff up, but if you're not doing things to extract and then also nurture. If there's no whole foods going in,
Exactly.
what's the body supposed to thrive off of, right?
Exactly. You can take all the good stuff, or you can take all the bad stuff out, but if you're not refilling it with good stuff, what are you doing? Same thing is also true. If you're, putting all the good stuff in, but you're never taking the trash out, it's still going to be smelly. So you have to do both for sure.
Yeah, that's good to note. And there's so many things we could go into besides this, but coffee enemas, and yeah, I've been doing this a fair amount, guys. Like, I highly recommend it, but again, we want to heal the gut lining first so that it all works together and it's being effective, because you don't want to waste your time with those coffee enemas. Oh gosh, it's not comfortable.
Might as well do it right,
Yeah, and we're here talking about supercharging your immune system. We don't want we took vitamin C, yay, I boosted my immune system. I was in the sun for 10 minutes today. Oh, yay, I boosted my immune system. These are good things, but at a foundational level, if we haven't done
right. Well, coffee enemas in particular, they stimulate an increase in your glutathione levels by 700%. Glutathione is your body's master antioxidant. So if you want to boost your immune system, do coffee enema, because 700%, that's insane.
Wow. That is amazing. So there you go. And I'll be sharing more about these things in general, because again, it's a holistic approach to health. We can't just fix one part and expect some differences. Is there anything that you wanted to add as we've been talking about all this?
We're really getting to the foundations, and of course there are a million little tangents we can get on, but it really comes down to this foundational level of healing, repair, toxin removal, and cellular regeneration. And that's what I'm about. That's what I do all day long.
It's awesome. Could it be said, if our immune system is fully as robust and our bodies are running optimal for how our personal bodies are, could it fight off anything? Just about anything?
Once our immune systems are balanced, is it good to go?
Yeah.
I mean, there's something to say about, obviously, when you get yourself healed, you don't want to be okay, I'm going back to my old life. Definitely not true. You're going to end up in the same place. Yeah. However, let's say you're going out to dinner, you did all this work, you're going out to dinner, and you eat something that maybe isn't super nourishing for your body. It's occasionally happening. Or, you go to a foreign country and you kind of pick up a bug. Your body is going to be balanced, and it's not going to be dealing with all of these toxins, and the immune system isn't going to be in overdrive. So then it can focus on the little things that come in, canola oil, we got this, or glyphosate, we got this. But the problem is when we're always exposed to that stuff, that it's just overworked and overwhelmed, and so it's let's just add it to the pile because it just has too much.
Yeah. And this is, as we're in a we could say hostile environment right now globally for our immune system. So therefore, this is part of the reason why I'm sharing, and because we're not hearing as much about these things, and we should be hearing a lot about it. But this doesn't make certain companies a lot of money. A lot of people capitalize off of, like we said, creating Disneyland for your parasites. That's worth considering what kind of companies thrive as a result of
all the money.
Yeah, keeping those parasites in play. And then when our body's in issue and we don't deal with the parasites or deal with the gut health, then we just go to traditional
medication.
Yeah, and we get, like you said earlier, a pill for that, which still isn't healing
exactly
foundation. Exactly. So, yep. It's all connected.
Any more questions?
No, I did just want to find out, do you have anything coming up? How could people work with you? And we're looking at, I know, doing things together, but what's coming up for you?
Yeah, so I do work one-on-one with clients. That people really love to do functional labs and really dive into their bio-individuality. But my one-on-one containers are totally full right now. But good news, I'm launching a group program on October 11th. It's a 6-week group program. And really, we're doing exactly what we talked about today in our call. So we're healing the gut lining, removing the pathogens, releasing the toxins, and then regenerating our cells. Like that, it's that 4-step process. And excuse me, we'll be doing that over 6 weeks. It will be still individualized. Not everyone will be on the same protocol. However, during those 6 weeks, we're going to be working through it together. So if you want to get rid of parasites, you want to heal your gut lining, you want to feel amazing, this group program really is for you. You can do so much in 6 weeks. Like Julie knows that firsthand. Also, going to be given the tools to follow through with this for the rest of your life. It's not just I drop you off and see you later. Like you're given everything you need to flourish throughout the rest of your life. So that's coming up on October 11th. If you're interested, just DM me and I'll get you going in that process. The calls, we'll have 2 calls a week, a teaching call on Tuesdays, a Q&A on Thursdays. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. So I'm really excited.
Yay, thank you. I know that's going to be amazing. And this gives anybody watching now some time to prep and some time to get familiar. You want me to send you those pictures of the parasites just to give you some incentive? It's worth digging into because it takes some mental prep. I was in a place of like, well, let's do this. Like, what do I need to do, Rachel? And we're finding that we're to a place, I think, where we should all be taking more radical responsibility for this whole being.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here. I know that we'll have even a further conversation in the future. And I know you're off to Hawaii.
I am. I'm leaving tomorrow, so I'm very excited.
Okay, I'll let you go. But thank you for showing up here today, and we'll connect again soon. Great to have you.
Having me. If anyone has any questions, please reach out to me.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks. Bye, everybody. When I figure out how to end the call, I don't know how to stop it.